I was 24 when I saw his name again, Marcus Hale. For a second, my fingers froze over my phone screen. It was just a random scroll through social media, one of those late-night habits you don't even realize you've fallen into. But then there he was, smiling, polished, successful, engaged. I leaned back against my couch, exhaling slowly, my lips curling into something that wasn't quite a smile. Funny how life works. 15 years ago, Marcus Hale made sure I knew exactly where I stood in the world. Back then, I was the quiet girl, the dark-skinned girl, the one he thought no one would ever defend. Midnight, he used to call me in front of everyone, like it was funny, and they laughed. Of course they did. I remember sitting in class, pretending not to hear him, pretending it didn't sting when he'd whisper things just loud enough for others to catch. About my hair, my lips, my skin, everything about me was a joke to him. But what hurt the most wasn't just the words. It was the way he looked at me, like I was nothing. Now here he was, posting engagement photos with some beautiful, glowing woman, smiling like he had never hurt anyone in his life. I tapped the photo, zoomed in, and that's when I saw it. That same smile, the one he used before saying something cruel. I sat there for a long moment, staring at the screen. Then, slowly, I smiled, not out of bitterness, out of clarity, because something inside me whispered, you don't have to be that girl anymore. 3 days later, I walked into his life again, not as Midnight, as Maya Carter, confident, controlled, unforgettable. I knew exactly where he worked. His company wasn't hard to find, and getting invited to that corporate networking event, even easier. When I entered the room that night, I felt eyes turn, not because I was loud, but because I didn't need to be. Black silk dress, smooth curls falling over my shoulders, a quiet confidence that didn't ask for attention, but always got it. And then, I saw him, Marcus, standing near the bar, laughing with a group of people. I watched him for a moment. Then I walked over, slowly, deliberately. Marcus, he turned, and for a split second, he didn't recognize me. Yeah, he said, scanning my face. I tilted my head slightly, a soft smile playing on my lips. It's me. Pause, confusion. Then realization hit him like a wave. Maya. I could see it in his eyes, the shock, the disbelief, and something else, something new, attraction. I stepped a little closer, just enough for him to feel my presence. Wow, he breathed. You look different. I finished for him, my voice calm, almost teasing. He laughed nervously. Yeah, I guess that's one way to say it. I leaned in slightly, just enough for my perfume to reach him. I've changed, I said softly, and I meant it. Over the next few weeks, I let him in. Not all at once, just enough. We met for coffee, then dinner, then late-night conversations that stretched longer than they should have. He was drawn to me. I could see it in the way his eyes lingered, the way his voice softened when he said my name, Maya, like it meant something now. And maybe, part of me liked that, not because I needed his validation, but because I controlled the narrative now. One night, we sat across from each other at a quiet restaurant, candlelight flickering between us. You know, he said, swirling his glass, I feel like I owe you an apology. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, he looked down, then back at me. I wasn't a good person back then. Silence stretched between us. I studied his face. Older, wiser, regretful, but not enough. Not good. I repeated softly, that's a gentle way to put it. He winced. I was a kid, he said quickly. I didn't know better. I leaned back, crossing my legs slowly, my gaze steady on his. You knew enough. That hit him hard. He didn't speak after that, and for a moment, I almost felt sorry for him. Almost. A week later, he invited me to his apartment. I knew what that meant, and I went anyway. Not for what he thought, but for what I planned. The atmosphere was intimate, soft music, dim lights, the city glowing outside his windows. He stood close to me, closer than ever before. You're different, he murmured again, his voice low. I smiled faintly. So are you. But we both knew that wasn't entirely true. He reached for my hand, and I let him, just for a moment, just long enough. Later that night, after he fell asleep, I sat at the edge of his bed, his phone in my hand, unlocked, unprotected, careless, just like he used to be. I scrolled, messages, conversations, and there it was, proof, not of who he was back then, but who he still was, flirting, lying, playing games, even while engaged. I stared at the screen, my expression unreadable. Then, slowly, I took screenshots, Every single one. The next morning, I left before he woke up. No note, no goodbye, just silence. And later that day, I forwarded those screenshots to his fiancée. The next morning, I checked social media again, and there it was. No engagement photos, no smiling couple, no perfect life, gone, just like that. I stood by my window, the sunlight brushing against my skin, warm and steady, and for the first time in years, I felt light, not because I destroyed something, but because I finally chose myself. A few days later, I got a message from him. Why would you do this? I stared at it for a long time. Then I typed back, because the girl you hurt learned how to stop being powerless. I paused, then added one more line. And the woman I became doesn't forget. I never saw Marcus again, but sometimes, late at night, I think about that girl I used to be, quiet, invisible, hurting, and I smile, because she didn't disappear. She evolved into me,